becomes some of the owning source and like centralized space for some of the reporting.
I mean,
That may be a dumb salesperson question.
Is there a way to do it? Yes. Does it make sense to do it? I don't know.
Questionable. Okay.
Right? Because if it's an operational system and the team wants a daily report to understand how many widgets Bob processed versus Jim or whatever, unless there's value to showing that on our website or our mobile app or integrating that more broadly in lots of other things, then it's probably not worth the energy to put it into Snowflake and Looker.
Okay. And I think I was starting to lean towards like if there is a need for some of these to be in two different spaces potentially. Like maybe there's a team that invoice approvals and it doesn't go into Salesforce. That team also has other more service related items that they are working. Is there a consolidation point somewhere along the way? Or do they just need to go pull two different reports and use the wonderfulness of go to one of Angie's Teams trainings and learn how to be lookups?
I think that's something we'll have to manage as we go, right? Because you don't want a team to have to go pull stuff from 12 different places, but two probably isn't a big deal, depending on what they're doing, right?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so are the reports all relevant? Can they be removed, consolidated, updated? So there's some definite options. What types of things are being processed through ServiceNow? Are they recurring? Can self-help be offered or help serve up information? Where should this workflow or process live? I think that ultimately becomes part of our kind of decision-making matrix after we evaluate all these other things. It's then the decision point on that particular component. What happens with the request? Is it a document flow? Is it financial approval? Are there security needs, limit profiles, or visibility as considerations for that? What's the feedback to emitter after they have sent the email? Let's call it submitted the request.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, I think the comment about document is important, right? I mean, if the purpose of this is reading, interpreting, and taking action on a document, that could be a very clear play for OCR and ECM sort of capabilities, right?
Yeah.
Or if the end state is saving a document in a structured manner where we need to have some governance around retention and all that sort of stuff, that could be a very clear ECM tooling play, right?
Yeah.
What was the second one?
Saving a document in a structured manner where we need to have like governance policy, like must be saved for 7 years, auto deleted, must be locked down so only people with this title can get to it, that sort of stuff, right?
So I can give a couple examples of things just to help you understand things that might need that. One of them is L&T. When they're doing renewals, they send an email out through their shared mailbox with everything coming back to ServiceNow and to the queue, looking for the insurance documents, looking for the safety inspections, things like that, collecting all those documents. And once they're all there, processing the renewal. That's probably one of them that collects multiple documents and needs more workflow than what they have currently in their process, but there's a lot of documents involved with theirs. But it's funny, some of these documents we already have in other places, like the insurance piece. So it'd be better if we had, they're looking that up first where we have it stored somewhere else in one of our systems. Another one, like financial approval, an invoice comes in, somebody has to approve it before it's paid, like the F9 payables queue is an example there.
Ryan, will we have the opportunity to do any app dev type work, or is this mainly the tools we have?
we absolutely have the opportunity to do development work. We need to understand what it is, socialize that, get approval and resources alongside everything else going on, right? So that's where we need our strategy and plan. But if that is the right solution, I would not be shy about suggesting that, right? Because some things it might be, we just need to add this one screen to Etch, right? Because
Yeah.
this whole ServiceNow thing exists because it doesn't have that screen, right?
Yeah. And three things I can think of. Oh, go ahead, Ryan or Clinton.
No, I would not trust up on you. I was just thinking of the LTNT thing. Like, I'm like, that's really customer facing. We already have a customer website. Shouldn't they be going to the site and uploading their documents versus we email them and hope they get emailed back and this and that? Like, the site should be able to say, hey, you turned in 4 out of 5 documents. Here's the one that's in red still, you know.
Yeah. There
Might be
is
too far out there. I get it.
there is an app that was created, DFA document fulfillment app for L&T that is internal only right now. Then it's actually pretty complicated, turned into way more complicated than I think we realized it would. But it does track what documents we have to complete a unit of work specifically for L&T and registration and all that sort of stuff. Now that tracks, have you received this document? You need these 2 other things. That does not include the process for accepting and retrieving the documents necessarily, right? So I think that is still the retrieval, the portal, the upload. That's still the gap there. Some of that they do by sending a OneDrive link, right? So, some of that may be more manual. So it could be, we might find that they're having customers email something into a queue and we just need to retrain them and say, don't do that, send a OneDrive link out or something like that until we can build a solution. I don't know.
And tagging on and reminding adhere to the security need for documents. We do have several secure things that are in there. Adjustments to pay plans go into an instant queue. W-9s for new vendors get emailed in. ACH information for setting up new payables. And then another one I can think of is customer financials for the credit team to review.
I thought we moved customer financials.
Some of it goes into a OneDrive drop link, but they still work a queue with some of the smaller information that goes in to
Customer financial documents were emailed or faxed into EasyLink and they worked out of a queue for years. And then we went through recently and built an ECM queue to receive those emails and faxes instead of going through EasyLink.
Okay. They still have a queue. I don't know if it's used then, but they still have a queue that they work through in ServiceNow also.
Interesting. Yeah, see, some stuff like this, it might be just redundant or we could redirect the work, right?
Yeah, we can shut one down and say you're only using this going forward. Absolutely. Trying to think of anything else that, but those are the ones that come top of mind of that need more security around them than others.
And something like pay plans, that has no business going in Salesforce, right?
No.
So I mean, there's stuff like that we may need to think about. How do we manage that? Does that make sense? Should that even be in a structured queue like this, right?
Or, that might be something that's just a shared mailbox.
Yeah. Right.
Work it, move it to a different folder, and it's done. It does have a form around it, so we could even put a form that they fill out that's in Microsoft Forms that drops it in the shared mailbox. So there's lots of things that can be done there to change that, to simplify it. and
That's
limit
a good idea.
Hey, jumping ahead a little bit, how has the team handled decommissioning systems as far as like existing work that are in those systems? Do you normally kind of let things down the vine and then, or do you convert and then move over to the new system with the existing ones that are starting to cut off? Or
It depends on what it is. Some things you need to keep historical knowledge, other things you don't. So like the tax queues, they need 7 years worth of data. Ask NSD, just generic questions, the state of things. You don't need to probably convert a single thing. So it really depends on the type of queue it is.
so with our licensing going away in 25, does take a 7-year look back, does that licensing mean we can't get into the system?
Correct.
Or does that
Yeah.
mean we convert it over to something else? And
Yeah, I think they give you 2 weeks after the expiration of your license to
Okay.
convert, export all the data.
And I wouldn't get too hung up on that yet. I mean, removing our ServiceNow spend is a really nice outcome if we can get there. But if we get to the end, realize we need to keep 10 licenses around for a minimal spend and just let it expire, because that's a lot better answer than trying to export stuff and whatever. I mean,
Cool.
those are options, right?
That's good to know.
They're going to charge you $5,000 per license for those 10 licenses, Ryan. It's just
Understood. Yeah, we'll have to walk through that, right? I mean, it could be, but in the end, frankly, $50K may be way cheaper than the amount of energy we would spend.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just sarcastic because
Yeah,
it's who it is.
yeah. And the great place that enterprise and especially our division is in, cost is not the biggest factor when making decisions like this, right? I mean, we're thankfully very well funded and in a very profitable business. This is much more about efficiency, managing things well, providing better customer service through being the right people, the right visibility that they need. Cost and that sort of stuff is a nice side benefit if we can manage it, because we still want to do the right things, right?
Perfect.
So those costs go away, right? I mean, usually you're archiving and sitting there through a couple of years or whatever else, but
Yeah.
That helps.
So we talked through financial approvals. Are there security needs, limited profiles, or visibility? What's the feedback submitter after they have submitted the request? As is it needed as progress is being made? One of the things that we heard through journey mapping was that frequently our account teams feel like they aren't getting supported when they have to reach out to fleet operations teams. And I think some of that isn't because it is because they don't have visibility to what's happening, right? And so they feel like they don't know what's going on. And then they're potentially opening other requests about the same thing. They're bogging, they're just bogging it down.
We see the same thing in IT when people aren't communicating where things are in the progression of things, or that, hey, your ticket's being escalated. You need that constant touch base with the customer every day, every couple days, or the acknowledgement that you received it and working it. And yeah, we've had to work through that on the IT side too.
So I think that's something that we can help soothe, just with visibility and the right tools for the right things. So they might not be happy with it, and it may still leave them feeling the same way, but at least they can have some visibility. And then as it's resolved and as closure is happening. And then I think we maybe noted this in a couple of places as we've kind of gone through the conversation. Do we have an understanding what other tools in the EFM ecosystem do or can handle as we evaluate where items should live in the future? how do users interact with them, or how would they access the information? And then do we need to have visibility to that in Salesforce for a more client-centered experience? Then we've got some notes toward decommissioning, which we just spoke through. Yeah. What else? What else are we missing through this conversation? We've had some great additions.
Yeah, back to the communication piece. If it's sent from an external party into ServiceNow, there's no communication back or acknowledgement from ServiceNow to that external party about opening a ticket, or a ticket's been updated, or there's no back and forth through the tool. If it's an internal party that, you get we've all worked in ServiceNow, you get the update that a ticket's been open, you can have more of the back and forth. Not saying they're doing that, but I'm saying the capability is there. Also, we still have one team, the team mailbox team, that literally is just like traffic control for the people who don't want to look at the chart that's sent out regularly of where to send stuff. They don't want to learn, so they just send everything to Team West or Team South Central and just let them figure out what to do with things. And I think that's a whole team that we could be saving that team if we get people a simpler way to route things, and not as many mailboxes, but maybe a workflow in something like Salesforce cases where you have the drop down of questions and it puts things in the right place.
Yeah.
The more we simplify, the less you need that whole team.
Yeah. Great goal. So
And there's a lot of other things that team can do. I'm not saying like get rid of a team. I'm just saying we can refocus them into more meaningful work than routing ServiceNow tickets.
Some of this might force that when we move something around, there's no ability to do it out of ServiceNow. They're going to have to use the correct method.
Yeah. But the team mailboxes go back to, they used to be public folders, and then we put them in here so we could at least track where things were moving around to and who was touching it. But to me, it's one of the largest nightmare processes we have. Or, yeah.
Sheila, you hit on something that's interesting. I don't know, Amanda, if you know much about it or talked to some of the teams already yet, but I mean, Sheila, on that side, how do teams kind of manage their teams with the work that's there? Do they have like one focal person that just always the manager gets in there and divvies it up, or is it they just say 20 people that are assigned to it, you just get in there every so often? Or any thoughts on that?
It varies greatly, team to team, assignment group to assignment group. It's like IT support where you all jump in from the top down, oldest to newest. There's other teams that they have a rotation that they each take a week, work in the queue, and then they might not touch it again for 6 weeks. In some, the manager looks at everything that comes in and assigns it directly to a person. So it's all the above. There's not a clean answer on that one.
Do you excitement about not only getting it routed correctly, but also assigning to a person on that team to say, hey, there's 5 people, three are staffed pretty heavily with cases. Here's 2 more. I'll route that to them individually. Do you think there's any excitement?
I think there would be desire on some teams, absolutely, for that.
Yeah, we've actually had managers reach out to see if we could do that for them.
Okay.
In ServiceNow. So yes.
It kind of, Ben and I were talking the other day about some maybe, some not, but we were just kind of curious what you've seen. Thanks.
Yeah.
What else? Meeting of the minds toward all of this.
I heard
Sure.
lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I heard a lot of mention of a few tools. Should we list those tools? Not saying that they are our only options, but then people here that are less familiar with them ask questions.
I love that.
Yeah, so I heard Salesforce, ECM, Genesis. Man mentioned something else that I forgot about.
ORC, what is that? I don't know what ORC is.
The
OCR.
document fulfillment app and OCR.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's OCR is the technology that takes a document and reads it